Alright guys, and hello to this video that I'll be making today, which is quite different from everything I've been making in the past. And yeah, here we go. I hope you enjoy this. I did take a while writing up a script for this as well. So, before the actual video begins, I would like to be more transparent with where I'm coming from with everything I'll be saying. So here, I'll give a list of the videos that this video I am making right now will be related to. So one being Q Kronos' video relating to how Blackout is dying, Barco's video related to the game's moderation, and Sniper's video related to mass teaming. There will be four main issues I'm going to be addressing, respectively being mass teaming, balancing, the game's player count decline, and moderation. So, the first point, mass teaming. First, I would like to define what mass teaming is. In Blackout, mass teaming / zerging is when a group of people teaming together exceeds the party limit, which is 5 players. After the game's release, it's been an issue for a lot of players who play either solo or with fewer people, as teaming is fairly crucial in Blackout, and having more people could easily give you an edge in combat or just farming itself. Now, how is it an issue? It is an issue since it gives new players a very hard time getting used to the game and trying to fight off people, and also makes PvP in general very unbalanced most of the time. Also makes looting monuments such as bunkers or labs much more difficult as well, since they would often camp or counter those raids as mass teamers. And I agree as well, it is indeed an issue, and I believe Silver, with alongside a decently small dev team, it does take time to adjust and balance the game, especially after just a singular month after release. The testers have also already been coming up with ideas that could solve or at least somewhat tackle the issue of mass teaming. The first one being the new patches that should help solo players or just groups of less people quite a bit. As you can see in the recent polls posted in the Discord server of Blackout, there are already many points that's been previously discussed by the testers that are added as polls in the Blackout Discord server. And evidently, a large portion of the player base agrees with these potential changes. These changes should definitely help combat mass teaming as well. Most of them benefit solo players or smaller groups much more. Another method to solve the issue of Blackout's mass teaming is moderation, which is definitely a main point in Q Kronos' video on why Blackout is dying. But as a moderator in Blackout myself, well, more of a trial game moderator, but just as a moderator myself, I really do not find this strategy to be too viable. One being that there could be way too many reports regarding mass teaming, and many of them could be invalid and false, which would waste a lot of our time moderating. Two being that it is very difficult to moderate since people could easily lie or log about mass teaming. I'll give you an example. If 10 guys were all farming on a server and they didn't attack each other for 30 minutes and they just had a few back and forth verbal exchanges and greetings and went on with their own day farming, now that happened. Now a bit later, if some guy came in and attacked one of those guys farming, and the other 9 guys that was also farming absolutely decimate the one guy that attacked one of the farmers, would that still count as mass teaming? When in this case the mass teaming wasn't really even intentional to begin with. Now the answer to that question I'll leave to yourself, but I think what I'm going for here is pretty obvious. Now, this brings me on to my second point, which is balancing. This is one of the points that I will not be going very in-depth in, because I would just like to say most of the community really doesn't know what's good for the game, and I think the testers are already doing a great job smoothing all the weapons out. It just takes some time and some different patches. Some examples I could say about this is, people say the M4 is shit. A lot of people did say that after the previous nerf, but I would like to say as somebody that uses it a lot, it is still a great gun, and I think it is at a great place. And also the M24 incident, which is when the first time the M24 was nerfed, people were screaming about it in general. There was literally people spamming hashtag revert M24 in my DMs. But I would just like to say, a sniper that costs only 2.5k should not be able to combat literal automatics at close range one tapping them without being punished much at all. With Blackout's movement and 6 bullets in a mag, it is way too broken. And at its current place, I believe it is way much better than how it was before. Now that's all I would like to say for balancing, because I could definitely ramble on it for years and well, not that's obviously an exaggeration, but I could definitely ramble on about it for a very long time if I wanted to, but I would not be doing that. Now, the game's declining player count, or quite frankly, the game's dying. Now, is the game's player count going down a lot? Yes, it is. That is definitely correct, but I don't believe it is mostly caused by other issues of the game that some of them I have covered in this video. Let me explain. First, I'd like to believe that the main reason for Blackout's current decrease in player count is mostly due to the lack of focus on advertisements and promotion. Due to many balancing and content-related things on release, I believe Silver and the entire dev team has been focusing on the game itself and the other issues that might be included in this video. Another point is, if you are aware of the game's last update, it was only announced in the Discord server, meaning that nearly out of the 80,000 people that has favorited Blackout, only around half of those people were made aware of this instantly. Not only that, there was no large advertisement made on social media related to it either. As a matter of fact, even on the main page of Blackout, there wasn't a new text saying update in the game's title or a new thumbnail added as well. The update itself, despite being pretty big, was not very well shown to the player base. Now, this leads to my second point regarding advertising. As a new game, not a lot of large content creators have made videos on the game, which is something usually you would expect from a very new game, which is also a very good way to bring in new players. Now, on December 6th, which is also the day where Blackout had its highest new player visits according to Rollymons, it is also coincidentally the same day a very large content creator who is Sketch made a video on Blackout. And I am sure myself that this is actually no coincidence at all. Alongside some other instances where creators like Corny or Warmarble has also made videos on the game, the videos that these creators have produced definitely has heavily contributed to the growth of the game's player base. Now, I would also like to mention most of the current Blackout content creators, such as me and some other content creators that I will not be mentioning, we only foster and live off the current community of Blackout. We are unable to make it grow exponentially and bring in a lot of new players, which is something that could only be achieved through other ways of advertisement, which one could be having large YouTubers make videos on the game. Now, this leads me to my last point, which is moderation. I like to say moderation is a less significant one, but it is also something I would still like to mention, especially as a moderator myself. I would like to keep a good image for the entire moderation team. In this, I guess, section or paragraph, I will be mainly addressing Barcode's video, which I have mentioned earlier. So now, one of the first things I would like to mention relating to moderation is that there's something that we moderate by. It is that we would rather have an exploiter slip by than to falsely ban a legitimate player. This is why many times, despite having clips look suspicious, when there's only one or two, we would not instantly ban people for it. When it comes to banning possible exploiters, we like to collect more than sufficient evidence to make sure that they are actually exploiting, which is why many bans do not get carried out instantly despite some proof being provided. I would also like to state that we do not associate our bans with how much limiters or Robux a user has. It is completely irrelevant to our moderation, and I have users that is literally sitting on my suspects list with hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of Robux sitting there in their account in limiters. And I would like to say they are not excused or given bias when it comes to moderation at all. Also, the final thing I would like to mention is that when it comes to moderating, it is at many times not carried out by a singular moderator. However, it is usually reviewed by multiple moderators and decided upon together. Especially as a trial game mod myself, I am sure that some of the other actual game mods have way more experience than me when it comes to game moderation. So therefore, please do not bash any mods for anything. The moderation process of even just a singular user in Blackout could take a long ass time. So just let us do our thing, okay? Just let us do our thing. We know what we're doing. And yeah, that would really just be the end of the video. There's not much more I would like to talk about. So thanks for watching and have a good day.